Kansas City. With a save yesterday, Joakim Soria has the most for any pitcher born in Mexico, and he helped the Royals avoid a 3-game sweep against Minnesota. Now tonight, the Royals begin a brand new series on a cold, chilly night in Kansas City against the Seattle Mariners. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. I'm Ryan Lefevre, and the Royals offense continues to be a huge improvement over last year, and right in the middle of it is Jose Guillen, who's one of the most productive hitters in the entire American League.
Well, that's true, Ryan. Jose's really healthy now, and he lost some weight, and he's playing really well, and when he's able to extend his arms at the plate, the ball really jumps off his bat. You can see when he gets that good torque, ball's away, he just extends himself, and he just got good power to left field and also right field, too.
Here are some of the American League rankings. He is tied for second with 7 home runs, third in slugging percentage. He's already driven in 17 runs. He's also among the league leaders in batting average, so it's not just the home runs and the RBIs. On the mound for the Royals is Kyle Davies, and Frank, talent has never been a question. It's been consistency, and he's been consistent in his first 3 so far.
Kyle is doing everything that he wanted to get accomplished this season, Ryan. He wants to go out and attack the zone with his fastball and induce early outs and try to get deeper in games. And to this point, he's done an outstanding job.
Only 3 starts, but look at where he was before this year, only averaging about 5 innings per start, almost 4.5 walks, but so far in 3 starts this year, almost 7 innings per start, and his walks have dropped below 3 per 9 innings pitched. All he has to do tonight is go up against Felix Hernandez. He's coming off a complete game in his last start, and it was his 17th consecutive quality start going back to last year. We'll talk more about the Mariners when we come back. To learn more, visit kia.com. And by Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. Well, the question for Ichiro Suzuki every year is, will he get 200 hits in a season? The answer the last 9 years is yes.
And I agree with you, Ryan. That's going to happen. The way he swings the bat and the way he uses the whole field, he doesn't try to do too much. Just hit the ball where it's pitched, and he's surely going to do that. A 373 career average against the Royals. So goes Ichiro, so goes the Mariners.
And he is on top of the batting order again, as he always is. Here are the Mariners lined up tonight, presented by M&I Bank. They wanted to improve their offense during the offseason, so they went out and they got Sean Figgins. They got Milton Bradley and Casey Kochman, who's off to the best start of those three. He's driven in 14 runs. Felix Hernandez on the mound for the Mariners tonight. Here's the Kia pitching report.
His nickname is King, and he's King on the road, 9-0 in his last 12 starts. He's right on in 2010. Right-handed batters are only hitting .203 with 1 homer allowed, and he's tough on the road. 3-1 with a 2.97 ERA.
Well, Frank, if Ichiro sets the tone for Seattle, David DeJesus might have to set the tone for the Royals as he hits .375 against King Felix. Royals and the Mariners, the first pitch is next. Brought to you by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. So the Royals take the field. Just a few moments ago, they thought about putting the tarp down as a rain shower passed through, but now blue skies overhead. And Kyle Davies getting ready for his 5th career start against the Mariners. Off to a good start this year. What's behind that? Let's find out from Joel Goldberg.
Well, Ryan, thanks. One difference this year from last year is that Kyle Davies is throwing the cutter much more often. It's a pitch that he was learning to throw last year, but now he's very comfortable with it. Bob McClure telling me today that it's a good pitch for him because it's a hard pitch. He's going to throw it hard, but he also has command of it, and it's a pitch with a lot of movement, and it's movement that he can throw to right-handers and get that ball away from the barrel a little bit and get the movement against those righties that he needs. Also gives those hitters a different look, guys, something that maybe they haven't seen from Kyle Davies and it's something that McClure says also will make his changeup better. But first and foremost, most importantly, Max says for 90% of starters is the fastball. If the fastball's going well, everything else is going to follow with that. But the cutter is something that he has started to instill a lot more, and he's getting more comfortable with it. We saw it very early in the first game last year, Ryan, but he didn't use it very much. He was still learning it last spring training. Guys?
All right, thanks, Joe. Well, we certainly liked that pitch from him last year in his first start against the White Sox. Here's the Kia scouting report on Kyle Davies.
Well, what I find really fascinating here, Ryan, is with no outs, the batters are hitting .419. When he gets to two outs, 150, and that's something that Kyle really wants to pay attention to. Use all his pitches when ahead in the count, and be careful with duty errors. He's 8 for 13 against Kyle.
So here's Ichiro Suzuki, who has 23 hits, going for his 10th consecutive 200-hit season. That has never been done before. He has the major league record right now of 9 straight. The overall record is 10. It wasn't done consecutively, but only Pete Rose has 10 200-hit seasons. This is Ichiro Suzuki's worst month. He only hits .295 in April.
He's got such a nice stroke. You go back to Pete Rose, and a guy who got 4,000 hits. I mean, every day you step on the field, it's a base hit.
Davies beats him to the bag. So Suzuki is down. And we'll check the Royals defense tonight. Mitch Meyer back in center field. Rick Ankiel still bothered by that right quad. Around the horn, Gordon, Betancourt, Callaspo, and Butler. Unieski, of course, the former Seattle Mariner. And Jason Kendall behind the plate for Kyle Davies, who's making his 4th start of the year. Royals defense brought to you by Suzuki. Not Ichiro Suzuki, just Suzuki. Although I think he could afford to sponsor the Royals defense if he wanted to.
You want the Suzuki with 2 wheels or the one with 4? They both are fast.
Speaking of fast, how about the 1-2 punch for the Mariners after they picked up Sean Figgins?
They were really excited about getting him and moving Lopez over to third base because they gave him a little more agility in the middle of the field. And they say he's been playing outstanding second base, turning double plays, range left and right. And they said second base really lets you see just how talented this guy really is.
1-2.
Don Wakamatsu, this is his 2nd season as manager of the Mariners. Last year, Seattle improved by 24 games over 2008, and that was the best improvement in the major leagues. Seattle finished 3rd in the American League West, 12 games back of the Angels. Good start for Davies. 2 up, 2 down. That's his first strikeout. 51 degrees. Supposed to drop down into the lower 40s tonight. Game started at 7:11 Central Daylight Time. And the time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. And now Franklin Gutierrez, who's off to a fast start, hitting .375. That's the 3rd best average in the American League. And the league has known for a long time that he can play center field, and now he's showing that he has a complete game.
Well, Ryan, with him, it's all about knowing how to play the position. He doesn't have what you call blazing speed, but in talking to Mariners Coach Lee Tinsley, it really feels like he positions himself well and has enough speed that he actually looks faster than he really is in center field.
Right now leading the American League with 27 hits. Seattle last year, even with that great improvement, did next to nothing on offense. They really needed to improve that, and they did during the offseason. They were last in the league in runs scored. 2 balls, 2 strikes. They weren't on base very often. They had the lowest on base percentage, and they hit for very little power. They were at the bottom in slugging percentage. So they went out and they got some speed in Sean Figgin, some power in Milton Bradley, and some bat and some glove with Casey Kochman. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, with the overall desire to continue to improve the defense. They feel like defense and calculating their defense, how many runs it saves them over the period of a season. So you see more and more teams this year talking about pitching and defense where you didn't have that 2 years ago. It was more like pitching and offense, and if I can find some defense, that's okay.
Still 3-2. Well, it just goes to show again, if you're going to be at the top of one and the bottom of the other, pick the top being pitching, because Seattle, behind that 24-game improvement, they led the league in ERA.
Well, they have some good. This guy we're seeing tonight is going to be a big reason why, right? Felix Hernandez.
And went out and added Cliff Lee in a trade with the Philadelphia Phillies, although he's on the disabled list right now. But when he's healthy, Don Wakamatsu is going to have quite a 1-2 punch at the top of his rotation.
Well, he'll be overly excited to put those names on this lineup card when you can put Cliff Lee in there and Hernandez, and you just sit back and cross your legs and just see what they bring it to the table that day.
Got him with a changeup, so a 2 strikeout, 1-2-3 first for Davies. Jose Guillen leading the league with 53 total bases. Alberto Callaspo batting behind him, then Jason Kendall. Alex Gordon batting 7th with Mitch Meyer 8th in center field, with Rick Ankiel out for a 2nd straight game. And you know, Yuniesky Betancourt and Jose Guillen will both be fired up going up against their former team. And Felix Hernandez right on target to David DeJesus. Only 24 years old, finished 2nd to Zach last year in the American Cy Young voting. Into deep left center field, Bradley and Gutierrez chasing. And Bradley a couple of steps before the warning track. Retires DeJesus, who had a 6-hit with a home run series against Minnesota. Mariners defensively, Bradley, Gutierrez, and Suzuki in the outfield. Suzuki has 9 Gold Gloves to go with those 9 200-hit seasons, and big upgrades on the left side during the offseason, or the right side rather, with Figgins and Kochman. Rob Johnson behind the plate. Scott Podsednik just 2 out of 13 against Minnesota, but still leads the league with a .387 batting average. Up the middle, and the Royals have 1 on, 1 out.
When you have a pitcher that throws 95 plus, Brian, the best way to get to the strike zone is a nice short swing. See how quick that swing is from Scotty, right down through the ball, right back through the middle. Not trying to do too much, just hit the ball right where it was pitched, right back through the middle.
Well, you can't really bank on a big inning against Felix Hernandez. You just have to take what you can get, which means the Royals might try their running game against him to move some guys into scoring position, and Posednik has stolen 8.
But it wouldn't be a bad move to get those infielders moving around, and they're out of position anyway because of Posednik's speed, and if he takes off and someone vacates a little early, that would help. You know, the 2 balls by David and Posednik so far have been up. I mean, David actually hit his ball a lot better because of the wind. It didn't carry as well, but he did center the ball very well, and Posednik also got a fastball that was up. So Hernandez definitely have to be down to be successful.
Posednik, pretty good lead over at first, not running, and Butler pulls it outside of third. 1 ball, 1 strike. Royals were off to the races literally in the first couple of weeks in the season and leading the league in stolen bases. But now without a stolen base in 5 of their last 6 games. Two and 1. Royals going up against a very good pitcher who's coming off a very good start. Beat the Baltimore Orioles on Wednesday, going all 9 innings, gave up only 1 run, and it was unearned. No walks. He struck out 6. Two off seasons ago, the Royals, with great foresight, signed Zach Greinke to a 4-year contract extension, and good thing they did that, because a couple of pitchers that finished behind him in the Cy Young signed big-time 5-year deals. Felix Hernandez and Justin Verlander in the neighborhood of $78 to $80 million apiece.
That tells you everything's about timing. And, you know, Zach is good enough that if he continues to pitch the way he's been pitching, you know, he will have that day where where somebody's going to have to make a tough decision on him also from a dollar standpoint.
Posednik not running. Butler right on a fastball, just didn't square it up, and it's 2 and 2. Felix Hernandez out of Valencia, Venezuela. Grew up idolizing Freddie Garcia, who also came through the Mariners organization, and you can see that he's number 34, and he wears that in honor of Freddie Garcia. Back to Hernandez. Wild throw. It's into center field. And Posednik to third. Looked like there were 2 guys over to cover second base, Frank.
Yeah, 1 too many for sure, Ryan. Normally it's the shortstop that covers on that play, and unless they switch because of Billy, that would be the only reason 2 guys would be there. But normally he's throwing for the shortstop. The ball kind of takes both up to the middle, so one's got to call the other off. But it looks like Hernandez was throwing for Jack Wilson instead of Chom Figgins.
Hernandez not blaming the infielders, though, kind of tapping his chest, saying that was my fault.
Well, when you bury those sinkers down in the ground like that with infielders that are moving toward the bag, they're awful hard balls to catch.
Well, this is a big opportunity for the Royals. Instead of being out of the inning on a ground ball double play, first and third, 1 out. And Jose Guillen, who has never faced Felix Hernandez. They played together in Seattle and just didn't happen to be in the lineup when the Royals faced the Mariners last year. Royals only saw Hernandez once, and he beat the Royals, giving up just 3 runs in 7 innings. 2-0. Hernandez, just 24 years old. Made his big league debut at 19 back in 2005. Through the left side, and the Royals have a 1-0 lead. So they make something of the air right away, and Guillen drives in his 18th.
Jose's got a real nice short stroke here. What he does here, right, he comes right down on top of the ball. Let him try to lift it. Ball's going down. He beat it down in the ground, but he beat it right in a good spot on the infield. again, Jose just continues to do his best work. When he's allowed to extend his arms, you see what he does his best work. When the pitchers try to crowd him inside and he doesn't lay off of it, that's when he kind of gets himself in trouble at that point.
That's his 27th hit, which ties him with Franklin Gutierrez for the most in the American League. So 2 on 1 out, and now Alberto Callaspo, who's hit in 5 straight games and batting at .306. To Wilson at short. They get the out at second, and that's it. As Guillen goes barreling into second base. So Butler to third, Callaspo at first with 2 down.
Well, that's how you get down there, Ryan. That's how you want your base runners to do. You want them to get in there. You want them to disrupt that double play, and Jose does a good job here. Figgins wants to make this turn, but Jose's all over it.
So his teammates appreciate his effort, breaking up a potential double play, and now first and third, and Jason Kendall. It was windy before the game started, but just in this first inning, that wind is really whipped up left to right. About to pull the flags off the flag poles. Another ground ball, and Wilson charging, throws out Kendall. That's the inning. Thanks to an error, the Royals get a run against Hernandez in the first. With Jose Lopez, Ken Griffey Jr., and Milton Bradley coming up. Kyle coming off a loss on Tuesday at Toronto. It was a 4-3 game. He was very good for 6 innings, had fewer than 80 pitches, very efficient. And he had retired 12 of 13 going into the 7th, but faced 4 in the 7th, did not record an out, and took his first loss of the year. One ball, one strike on Jose Lopez, who is coming off a career season offensively and now moving positions, going from second base over to third with Sean Figgins coming to Seattle. I remember it wasn't that long ago, or at least it doesn't seem that long ago, when the Mariners finally cut ties with Brett Boone, who had been their second baseman for a long time, and it was right before Seattle came to Kansas City. The players were still somewhat in shock, and that was the beginning of Jose Lopez's career at second base. Had a couple of errors in that first series.
it's got to be nice for an organization to have a guy like Jose Lopez, who they feel is a very good second baseman, and you go out and you get Sean Figgins, and you say, wow, we can even get better at this position. And now you move Lopez to third, where they say he's making all the plays.
25 home runs, 42 doubles for Lopez last year, and he drove in 96. There's the cutter, and it's pulled to Betancourt. Former double play partner of Lopez throws him out, and Kyle Davies has retired the first 4. Fans, visit FoxSportsKansasCity.com for exclusive Kansas City sports content. You can watch interviews with the Royals and read about the Chiefs draft. See it now on FoxSportsKansasCity.com. And now Ken Griffey Jr., who will forever be known in Seattle as the Kid when he was called up in 1989 as a 19-year-old. But Ken Griffey Jr., folks, is 40. Just doesn't seem right, does it?
No. Unbelievable. I mean, I played against him as a rookie. I had just for one season, and he was the Kid. I mean, here he is. He's 40, and it's unbelievable how fast time has gone.
5th on the all-time home run list with those 630 home runs. 10 Gold Gloves, but now mostly a designated hitter. Had some problems last year with his left knee, had surgery on that during the offseason. One ball, 2 strikes. A couple of years ago, when you talked about the Mariners, you talked about a divided clubhouse. And Don Wakamatsu really praised Ken Griffey Jr. and former Royal Mike Sweeney for making baseball fun again in Seattle. And then we talked about the 24-game improvement. Iaspo throws out Griffey. 5 up, 5 down against Kyle Davies. Here's Michael, made the team as a non-roster invitee, and it didn't look like he had any chance to make the club. It had a great camp. Ryan Garco did not play well, so they put Garco on waivers. The Rangers picked him up. And Michael beginning his 16th Major League season.
Wow, it does go by fast, and you look back on it and you wonder where the time went. But Mike's always left a great impression everywhere he's gone. Here in Kansas City, Oakland, and now Seattle. And everyone who's around him for any period of time, he just kind of rubs off on you. Just makes you feel good about any situation that might be going on in your life, because he's one of those kind of guys that can always he can talk to you on a lot of different levels, and I think that's what makes him so special.
1-1 on Milton Bradley, who missed the last 6 games for Seattle. He's had some problems with his left calf. And a switch hitter batting left-handed, that would be his back leg. Where a lot of hitters will tell you that's where the power, that's where the drive comes from.
Well, you got to have those calf muscles to do anything in this game. And, you know, he's one of those guys, Ryan, when he stayed healthy with Texas, he had just a superb season. But just getting those healthy years in has been real difficult the last few years.
Off to a slow start at 167. He's always had the good eye, and ahead 3 balls, 1 strike. Full count.
What Kyle wanted to do, Ron, he wanted to challenge with his fastball, and when he stays out on the corner like that and we try to pull him, you're going to get those foul balls. And you know, he's not trying to trick the hitters, just going right after him.
And he goes after Bradley again, still 3-2. And it's cold out there. Told you the wind is whipped up, and Kyle after every pitch trying to blow some moisture and some heat into his throwing hand. And you don't need permission from the umpires to do that anymore, just so long as you don't do that standing on the rubber. Three straight right at Bradley, and we stay at 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, that just tells you that he's got a little life on his fastball here, Ryan. This ball is right where Jason Kendall wants it. 1 ball in off the plate.
Cutter got the corner. Nasty pitch. 3 strikeouts. 6 up, 6 down for Kyle Davies. Opportunities. Ball 1 from Felix Hernandez to Alex Gordon. You can also go to the website at sprint.com/sponsorships/sports for complete rules and another way of entering into the sweepstakes. Here's tonight's question. Who will finish with the most career major league hits? Good one. Derek Jeter's moving up on 3,000. Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, Ichiro Suzuki. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals, followed by a space, and then A, B, C, or D. Could you imagine where Ichiro Suzuki would be, or where he would be going, if he started his major league career here rather than in Japan?
4,000 hits.
Oh, man. I mean, he wasn't a guy that played for a little while in Japan. He was an MVP 3 times. He won 7 consecutive batting titles, 7 straight Gold Gloves. 3 balls, 2 strikes from Hernandez to Gordon. It's raining harder now. Hard enough where some of the fans in the lower seats are going up the aisles for cover. Leadoff walk to Alex Gordon. When you pitch well, you figure you don't walk many, and Don Wakamatsu's staff has walked the 3rd fewest in the American League. And Felix Hernandez doesn't walk many, especially leadoff walks. Alex had a couple of walks in the Minnesota series, so he's on for Mitch Meyer, now starting back-to-back games with Rick Ankiel getting over that slight strain to the right quad, and Mitch trying to bunt his way on, pulls it foul. Mitch 1 out of 6. in the Minnesota series, also on base with a walk.
I've got to think back to last year. Did Mitch ever try to drag bunt for a base hit? You know, it's almost like this is like a sacrifice, but it's not a good. It's almost like he's trying to drag bunt rather than sacrifice. And I just think back to last year. I don't remember him ever trying to drag bunt for a base hit.
Well, unless you're a really good bunter like Scott Pasetnik, you probably have to make a decision. It's either one or the other, right?
Right.
I mean, you're either going to sack bunt or you're going to drag bunt. 97 miles an hour, and Hernandez strikes out his first. So 1 on, 1 out. And here's Joel.
Well, Ryan, before you mentioned Jose Guillen being a former teammate of Felix Hernandez, same for Yuniesky Betancourt. They're also good friends, he said. He is a really good pitcher. He's also my friend, but once we're playing baseball, baseball is work. The two were former roommates in AAA. They used to go out to dinner in the minor leagues and the big leagues all the time. Uni says that he knows Felix's wife and kids very well. They talk to each other on the phone 2 to 3 times a week. They text even more. He got a text from Hernandez last night saying, I'm in town, want to go to dinner, but Uni said a little bit late, maybe dinner tonight is what they'll be doing after the game. If they go to dinner, no bragging about who won the battles. They will not be talking baseball, anything but, guys.
Well, so far, Uni 0 for 3 with a strikeout against Felix Hernandez. In that start that Hernandez made against the Royals after Betancourt came over, that was on August the 28th. 0-2.
I think if I went out to dinner with my best friend who's a pitcher and he struck me out or I got a big hit off of him, I would talk about it. Unless if he struck me out, why'd you throw me that pitch?
You mean they're not going to talk baseball at all tonight after the game?
Right. How can they not?
Popped up. This won't be an easy play with the wind and the rain. And Lopez plays it off to his side. So Uni now 0 for 4 all time against his good buddy. 2 down with Gordon still at first base. Just a reminder to look for the Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment later in tonight's game. David DeJesus leading off the bottom of the first. Flied out to the warning track in left field. And that was into a very strong crosswind. Alex Gordon opens the inning with a walk, but Meyer and Betancourt are down. Remember yesterday we were telling you that David said he has never hit for the cycle before at any level and could never remember being 1 hit away from the cycle. But after exhaustive research, Saturday was the 6th time in his major league career that he has fallen just a home run shy of the cycle. I told David before the game that, and he was shocked.
Some guys just play the game. They don't. You tell me stuff about me that I can't remember either. There's one good thing when you're swinging the bat well, Ryan, you just don't even think about those things. All you want to do is get that next at bat, and you want to square up another ball, and you want to get as many hits as you can while you're swinging well.
Snap throw down to first. Rob Johnson trying to get Alex Gordon. 1 ball, 1 strike on DeJesus.
But what catchers want to go by here is if you land on that plant foot and you lean towards second base a little bit, you don't make that good effort to get back to first, that's when they want to take a shot at you.
Now another segment of the fans going for cover as it's raining even harder. No sign of the grounds crew, which means at this point this rain isn't going to threaten the game, just a passing shower. Of course, on television it always looks like it's raining a lot harder than it actually is. I'd say a very light rain or a heavy drizzle, whatever you want to call it.
just enough to get wet. And we got people who were smart enough to bring their umbrellas. They're hanging out. You know?
David having to wipe the raindrops off of his helmet. Gordon started to run, then stopped, and David fouls it away. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Hernandez is really not slow to the plate, and I think that has a lot to do with whether the Royals try to attempt steals or not. 1-2 counts are usually good counts to run, and he uses the breaking ball count. And if a manager wants to run, this is when he would run.
And Alex is running. Pitch is a strike, so the inning is over. De Jesus taking a fastball at 96. Royals are done in the second. Coming up here in the third against Kyle Davies. Well, ladies, come out to the ballpark on Friday, May the 14th. Royals and the White Sox. It's the first girls' night out of the season, presented by Celsius Tannery. Tons of great pregame entertainment and pampering. Plus, the first 10,000 ladies through the gates receive a Royals t-shirt. And then stay after the game for a Fireworks Friday. Proceeds from the event benefit the Susan G. Komen for the Cure, Greater Kansas City. I'm not going to say it's a big crowd here tonight, but it is bigger than what it looks like as the pitch comes in. Most of the fans behind home plate have gone for cover because it was raining pretty hard for a couple of minutes in the last half inning, so most of the fans have gathered under the concrete of the upper level to stay dry. Hit hard to center, and Mitch Meyer right there. So Kochman, who was driven in 14 this year, lines out and one away. Royals manager Trey Hillman is down in the dugout. Trey, let's talk a little bit about Kyle Davies. He's faced 7, retired 7, and I know it's still a pretty small sample size, but has he shown you anything different this year in his first 4 starts as opposed to how he finished last year?
Yeah, just overall command's been better, Ryan. You know, I thought the Milton Bradley at bat last inning was a perfect example. I mean, he stuck with the fastball once he got to a 3-2 count, but he continued to locate it and then ended up locating one on the inner half to get a strikeout.
Well, Trey, this is Frank. That was one of the things that he what he really wanted to try to establish coming into this season was just be a little more aggressive, and we saw it in his outing in Toronto, and it seems like he's carrying it over to tonight's game.
Yeah, I think he is, Frankie. You know, he one thing that Kyle's told me this season is he's developed more confidence in himself with his stuff. Obviously, early in spring training, we saw him scuffle quite a bit, actually, with his command to all his pitches. And Mac talked to him. I think well documented how highly I think of Bob McClure. And he just talked to him about trying not to be max effort on every pitch, and then he went out and did that against Oakland in spring training over at Papago, and he got banged around a little bit, but I think that gave him a little bit of balance and understanding that his stuff is plenty good enough without trying to throw every ball as hard as he possibly can. And I think that's been one of the pieces that Mac triggered on that's kind of helped Kyle get more pitches in the zone and be more effective.
Trey, before we let you go, this is going to be another one of those games, if the weather holds the way it is, where it could be sloppy like it was a couple of nights ago against Minnesota. So what does that mean for the team in a game like tonight?
Well, one of the things that you saw this last half inning, you try to sacrifice bunt against a legitimate number one pitcher, get the ball on the ground, and hopefully make him make another mistake early and get as many runs on this guy as we possibly can, because obviously he's very good, and we need to try to manufacture runs as much as we possibly can, and hopefully they'll keep the surface as dry as possible. This grounds crew does a great job. They said that this is supposed to blow through, so hopefully it won't be too bad.
Well, so far so good. Kyle's retired 8 in a row, a 1-0 lead. Thanks for joining us, Trey.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Trey.
Well, I think that answered our question in regard to Mitch Meyer. That was not a drag bunt. The Royals were trying to lay down a sacrifice bunt and move up Alex Gordon after the leadoff walk in the second inning.
Yeah, I think it was more Mitch's posture on the bunt that kind of threw us off. And normally he would square around a little bit more than that, not to directly face the pitcher, but at an angle where you knew for sure he was sacrificed. So he kind of threw us both off with just because of the angle of his body and trying to bunt. So, you're facing those guys that throw sinker balls. You're going to have to get down there with them and try to stay with that pitch. If you stay up in a drag bunt mode, then the ball's got to be up in order for you to do something with it.
In the air left field, off the bat of Jack Wilson. And Scott Posednik is there. 3 perfect innings for Kyle Davies. .59, hit a baseball more than 650 feet, the longest hit ever recorded in minor league baseball. Then Gill went on to play in the Negro Leagues and holds a place in baseball lore. Now 78 years old, lives in Topeka, Kansas. 650 feet. Well, that's 2 325-foot home runs.
They played a lot of times back in those days without an outfield fence. They might have hit the parking lot and kept going.
Kept going. Here's a look at the Negro League Baseball Museum. A must stop if you're visiting Kansas City, or even more so if you live in Kansas City. Scott Posednik with one out in the first, singled to center. And after an error by Felix Hernandez, came around to score on Jose Guillen's single. Royals got a leadoff walk from Hernandez in the second, but unable to move around Alex Gordon. So Posednik now at .397. And back-to-back innings with a leadoff walk. There's tonight's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. And as we discussed at the top of the show, the Royals offense continues to be a bright spot compared to last year. And the Royals first in team batting average, total bases, second in slugging percentage. Maybe that's the biggest surprise there. We figured the Royals would run more, they'd have more hits, but I don't think we were prepared for the power the Royals have had in the first 3 weeks.
Well, they've done a great job there with Ankiel and Jose Guillen. Even Betancourt's thrown something in there, but the doubles have been really powering up also.
Suzuki was playing shallow and right, and of course he has the great arm, so Posednik moves up to second base and stops there on Billy Butler's single to right.
You know, Billy, watched him in batting practice, he hit a lot of balls that direction, and to bring that into the game and just get inside that sinker and hit it that way, just like to take the game plan right from BP right into the game.
So 2 on, nobody out. Jose Guillen driving in his 18th of the year in the first inning. That ties him for second now in the American League with Carlos Pena of Tampa Bay. Miguel Cabrera has 22. Teammates 3 years ago in Seattle. And Jose batting against Hernandez for the first time in the first inning. Oh, and 2. Jose with the Mariners in 2007. Only played 1 year in Seattle, but he had .290 with 23 home runs, 99 RBIs. That's the second highest RBI total in his career. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It looks like Hernandez is going to work Jose both sides of the plate. Start him off with a hard cutter away and sinker inside on his hands right there. Jose had a hard time on the road trip sometimes laying off that ball on the inside, so it means he's seeing the ball a lot better.
Struck him out. I don't think there was one pitch thrown in that sequence from Hernandez that was straight.
No.
Game 2 is tomorrow night. Zach Greinke against Ian Snell. A couple of pitchers going for their first win. And remember, last year, Zach threw that one-hit shutout at Seattle. Just a single from Kenji Jojima away from a no-hitter. Royals Live begins at 6:30. First pitch is at 7:10. And a sinker is low on Alberto Callaspo. Reached on a fielder's choice in the first inning.
Well, Felix has got a great sinker. His ball just turns right over in the strike zone. A lot of two-seamers, they'll just sort of fade away from the left-handed batters, but his just sort of turns right over, and you see him beat the ball in the ground a little bit more.
2-0. Hernandez 19-5 last year, 2.49 ERA, finished second to Zach Greinke in the Cy Young voting in the American League. And going back to last year, And his first 4 starts this year, he has thrown 17 straight quality starts, if you pay much attention to that statistic. Into left field, Milton Bradley is there. Posebnik running back to tag, but not going anywhere. And there are 2 down. Quality start being at least 6 innings. And allowing 3 earned runs or less. So 2 down to Jason Kendall, who surprisingly has the most career at-bats against Hernandez than any other Royal in the lineup. And that probably goes back to his days with the Oakland A's. A little bit of a surprise because Kendall has spent so much time in the National League. But when he was with the A's and the Mariners hooked up for 6 series every year. And Jason is 2 out of 19. He's decided to go without the facial hair in this series. Sometimes hitters are superstitious. Sometimes it has nothing to do with that at all. But I should mention Jason 1 for 10 against Minnesota. He did have 3 walks. So he's going to mix it up.
After Marneau dove and took that base hit away from him, he probably figured it's time to change something. He's got that nice short stroke, so if he stays with that, he's gonna get a lot of base hits.
Hard curveball in for a strike, 1-1.
I think the one thing you said about Hernandez that was just absolutely true is that nothing's straight. Everything moves. His cutter, his changeup, his fastball sinks, slider. He will throw an occasional curveball in there. So this is the guy who's won his last 9 decisions. So he knows exactly what he's doing on the mound.
Kendall hits into his former teammate with the Pirates, Jack Wilson, and the Royals strand 2 in the 3rd. Rethink Possible. And by Panera Bread, explore a menu of hearty soups, salads, sandwiches, and breakfast items at Panera Bread. So as Trey Hillman predicted, the rain was going to pass, and it has. No rain falling at the moment, but a cool night in the low. And Kyle Davies has retired the first 9. So his second time to the order. Suzuki, Figgins, and Gutierrez coming up. Curveball a little high to Ichiro Suzuki. Grounded out to Billy Butler. in the first inning. Think about Suzuki, as good as he is, and can pretty much put the ball wherever he wants to. He does not walk very often at all. And he swung at a 2-0 pitch and grounded out in the first inning. So he's not your typical leadoff guy who's up there working the count and piling up the walks. He had 32 walks last year. That's almost nothing.
I think he's up there to hit. I mean, if he can get the bat on it and slap it on the ground and run, that's what he likes to do, especially the shortstop side.
Lays on a bunt. Kendall is on it and throws him out. Good play.
Now, that's something you don't see him do very often, is bunt for a base hit. Normally he's trying to slap the ball between third and short and letting his legs work for him. And Jason does a good job getting this ball with the key thing there, Brian, is getting this ball with his bare hand and not with the glove. And he makes a good throw to Billy at first base.
Take a look at tonight's You Call It, presented by Sprint. We asked you who will finish with the most career major league hits. 61% for Derek Jeter. Of course, he has a 700 plus hit advantage over Ichiro Suzuki. Keep voting. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals, a space, A, B, C, or D. Figgins struck out in the first. Kyle Davies has struck out 3. So Figgins off to a slow start at 188, but he has walked 15 times. And under the topic of they keep track of everything, we just talked about Suzuki and how he doesn't take many pitches. Nobody in Major League Baseball last year saw more pitches than Sean Figgins.
Just on-base percentage is what you look for with him. And, you know, it's kind of hard sometimes going from a successful team like he was with the Angels, and then you move to a new team, and now you're being asked to do pretty much the same thing as a hitter, but something different as a defensive player. Now you're just going out there and just trying to say, well, how long is this adjustment period going to take? And I think that's where he's at right now, is just trying to find himself in terms of how do I fit in here, not trying to do too much, just do what I did last year. But sometimes it takes it a while to get to that point when you change teams.
That's the second time he has caught a hitter looking on the cutter, Frank, and now he has 4 strikeouts. Davies has retired the first 11.
Well, we noticed his pitch last year and wondered why he didn't use it more, and he's got such a great delivery right over the top. The ball cuts really nice, and it's got a late break to it, and he throws it at the right time. But the biggest thing with Kyle right now, Ryan, is his overall command. He's in the strike zone.
Now Franklin Gutierrez struck out on a changeup, and there's a cutter for a strike on Gutierrez.
With that cutter working the way it is, Ryan, it'll really make that fastball that much better when he throws that four-seamer just slightly up in the zone. It'll be straight, and it'll be more enticing to the hitters.
Almost got him to chase it. 2 balls, 1 strike. Overthrew that one, and it's 3-1. Gutierrez batting at .370. Tied now with Jose Guillen for the most hits in the American League with 27. Three and two, and that was definitely ball 4. But the way Davies is pitching right now, you're going to swing at anything that's close.
Well, that's what that cutter does. You throw it in and get it in the strike zone, and late movement, and all of a sudden here's a fastball. You throw it up a little bit higher, and it looks that much better to the hitter, and it's hard to lay off of it.
Seattle has its first base runner, and Kyle will pitch out of the stretch for the first time with Jose Lopez coming up.
It's like he just tried to overthrow that one, Ryan. Just buried it right in the ground.
Lopez grounded out to short in the second inning, grounding out to Yuniesky Betancourt, and those two spent several years together in Seattle as the double play combo up the middle. Gutierrez has stolen 2 bases. Oh and 1. Kyle Davies in his career against Seattle is 2-1, but last year had an earned run average over 9 against the Mariners in a couple of starts. 8 2/3 innings in 2 starts, 9 earned runs, and the Mariners hit 3 home runs. But tonight they have sent 12 to the plate, and the best they have so far is a walk.
Well, the Mariners don't run a lot. Gutierrez has got 2 stolen bases, haven't been caught yet, but as a team, you think they run a little bit more, but as Fagans start to get on base a little bit more, that number may go up.
Jammed him. And out of play. Still no balls, 2 strikes.
Well, Kyle's doing a real good job on his slide step. He's really done a good job getting various moves. The Royals out early today, working on their pickoff moves. Kyle wasn't one of the guys, but you can tell where he's really doing a good job in varying his looks and moves to the plate.
Look at that play.
It's like a first baseman he's got.
Is that Wade Boggs? Would have minded seeing Wade Boggs in a Royals hat.
That would have been nice.
Now the ushers are instructed, no matter what happens, to make sure the fan's okay, and I think that guy's all right.
Oh, he's going to be. He's on TV. He caught it. He brought it. You don't see many first basemen in the ballpark.
Gordon to Butler, and Kyle Davies is out of the 4th inning. No hits allowed through 4. Through 3.5 innings, and let's look at tonight's Roadrunner Turbo speed pitch comparison. Felix Hernandez has hit 97 in his first 3 innings. Kyle Davies 94. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. And it's still early, but Kyle Davies has outpitched Felix Hernandez as the Royals lead 1-0. Curveball for a strike on Alex Gordon. Alex walked leading off the second inning. Royals couldn't move him up to second base. Mitch Meyer tried to bunt him up, but ended up striking out. No balls, 2 strikes. Is that a splitter or a changeup? That thing came in at 90 miles an hour.
Well, it is an air cutter. It's like a changeup, but that's the name I got for it. I've never heard of it, but it is a changeup. But the official term is air cutter.
Now that was just unfair. I mean, that's where Felix Hernandez sometimes, there isn't a higher level of play, but if there is one, sometimes he deserves to be pitching there with that pitching sequence.
Well, they gave him a great sinker that he swung through, and then he gave him that air cutter that was a dynamite pitch, and then he paints one right on the corner.
So Hernandez has struck out 4, including Mitch Meyer, who at first tried to lay down a sac bunt and then struck out swinging at a fastball. Mitch has a career home run against Felix Hernandez. Remember last year, Mitch hit his first major league home run. It was here at Kauffman Stadium against the Cleveland Indians. And Rafael Perez, a left-hander. Mitch had gone a very long stretch without hitting his first major league home run, over 300 at-bats, but then he hit 2 in Seattle for 3 home runs in 5 games. So they say sometimes home runs come in bunches, and they did for Mitch with one of them against one of the best pitchers in the league.
Well, sometimes when you face guys like Hernandez, he's going to give you one pitch to hit. You just got to be ready. You just can't miss it when you get it, because you don't get many opportunities when he's on the mound. But Mitch has got the kind of swing that is good for single ballers because of his swing playing. So if the ball doesn't go down as hard as it normally would, it would be right into the meat part of his bat if it stayed on the inner half.
Still 3-2. Royals getting an unearned run in the first against Hernandez after his error on a throw to second base. Jose Guillen driving in Scott Pasednik. Mitch still hanging in there at 3-2. Mariners were just swept in Chicago. They lost 3 heartbreakers, 3 one-run games. The victim of 3 game-winning home runs. Andrew Jones and Alex Rios hit walk-off home runs, and then Paul Konerko hit one to put Chicago in front in the 8th inning yesterday. White Sox hit 7 home runs in the series as Mitch muscles it out into left center field for a 1-out single. So 1 on, 1 out. T-shirt Tuesdays are back. And our first T-shirt Tuesday is coming up on May the 11th when the first 20,000 fans receive a T-shirt featuring Zach Greinke. The first of 6 T-shirt Tuesdays. If you'd like tickets, go to Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. So Seattle coming to town on a 3-game losing streak. Prior to that, they had won 7 of 8. And now Yuniesky Betancourt. Now that should be a balk, except time had just been called. But you can't turn and fake a throw over to first base. But Mitch Meyer had asked for time and wanted to do a little grounds work on the wet dirt around first base.
That kind of gives the pitcher an idea that, well, this guy's thinking about running on me. So he's going to pay a little bit more attention to Mitch.
And Mitch is running, and Betancourt gets it through the right side. Meyer goes to third base. First and third, 1 out.
Ryan, this is one of those situations right here where you're facing a guy who throws ground balls, and with Betancourt, and that's just a perfect hit and run situation. Betancourt does an outstanding job of hitting the ball behind Mitch. Surely he's going to get to third base. And when you look at Unieski this year, he's 4 for 5 in that area.
And now David DeJesus flied out to deep left in the first inning, and then Hernandez struck him out in the second. Off the end of the bat, past Lopez, and out at second base. Figgins doing a good job keeping his foot on the bag, but the Royals avoid the double play and lead 2-0. Meyer coming home on DeJesus' 10th RBI of the year. This will be the second time in the last 3 days that Trey Hillman is going to argue a play at second base on a force out. This one was a little closer than the one on Saturday night.
A little bit closer. Hernandez gets the ball he wants. Maybe a little bit harder would have suited him a little bit better. Wilson does a good job of getting rid of it. And Figgins did a good job trying to stretch and make this catch. But a lot going on around second base with Betancourt all over that. You know, the thing that you have to do as a base runner here, Ryan, if you look at this replay, when you see balls going to the shortstop's right, you got to make a decision as a base runner. Am I going in to break up a double play, or am I going in to be safe? I think if he'd have went in to be safe right there, he might have beat that throw to second base.
Yeah, I can see where Trey Hillman's coming from, because Betancourt beat the throw, but he didn't go into the base. So Bob Davidson made the right call.
Right. So that's what you have to do as a base runner. When that shortstop goes in the hole, you gotta anticipate the second baseman. So when the second baseman puts that 1 foot on the base, he's gonna stretch. That means he's just gonna try to get one out. And that's when you have to tell yourself, I gotta try to be safe. I gotta try to beat this throw to second base. Now, if he goes and squares up the bag, now you know he's gonna attempt to turn a double play and then use a different type of slide. And I used to play when I used to do that, and a guy come in like Unieski coming right there. I said, what game are you playing? I said, did you see me stretched out?
You're not going to turn a double play like that.
Because you put yourself in a vulnerable situation. So you're trying to be a first baseman. You know, you're trying to make sure you get that force out. That's all Figgins is doing right there. Now, if Unie goes in to the bag to try to be safe, he probably would have beat the throw.
One and two on Posednik, who has singled and walked and scored against Hernandez. Hits it hard to center field again, but this one stays up for Gutierrez, and that's the inning. But the Royals have taken a 2-0 lead.
He's really coming out with his fastball, and he's not holding anything back. He's just being very aggressive today, and it's really paying off for him.
Only one base runner in the first 4 innings, and that was a walk to Franklin Gutierrez with 2 outs in the 4th inning. He'll get Griffey, Bradley, and Kochman in the 5th. Griffey out in a ground ball to second base in the 2nd inning. And he is 0 for his last 9, batting at .213. Missed inside with the cutter, and that's been a very good pitch for Kyle tonight. He has 4 strikeouts to go with the 1 walk and a couple of strikeouts with the cutter. And now that pitch fades away, so the cutter in to the changeup away.
Well, that's really mixing it up good right here, Ryan. You know, this tells you right now he's feeling it. I mean, he's feeling like he's got command of all of his pitches. The changeup did exactly what he wanted to do. Start at the middle of the plate, make it enticing to the hitter. Then the ball disappears when they commit to swing.
Center field, easy play for Mitch Meyer. 1 away in the 5th inning. Coming up on tomorrow night, it'll be United States Navy and USS Missouri night at Kauffman Stadium. Special guest Admiral McLaughlin will be on the field before the game and will join us in the booth to talk about the commissioning of the USS Missouri. And Boulevard Brewing Company, a sponsor of Royals Live, is also a proud sponsor of the USS Missouri commissioning. One and 0 on Milton Bradley, struck out looking in the 2nd inning. Didn't mean to go around, and the count 1-1. And Kyle pitching very well in the zone, and he's also getting the Mariners to chase pitches that aren't strikes.
Well, that just lets you know right there, Ryan, that he's got him confused in terms of he's got command of 3 pitches: his fastball, his curveball, and his change, and then the cutter more so than the curveball. That's a good changeup right there. Good changeup. Cutter. So he's getting it all over the plate. He really can't sit on one pitch. Normally, if something's not working, you can eliminate it and look for the next pitch. But right now, with 3 pitches working for him and an occasional show of the curveball, he's got him a little off balance right now.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Bradley. Very few 3-ball counts for Kyle Davies. And a changeup pulled to Billy Butler. 2 down. That might be the hardest hit ball so far against Kyle Davies, and I think it still broke his bat.
Yeah, just got it in a good spot, and he's got it on the ground. He's locating. You know, one thing he's doing well. If you watch where Kendall sits up, he's doing a great job following the glove.
So Bradley's sharp grounder to first. Maybe Casey Kochman has the hardest hit ball. He lined to center first time. This one is right to Cayaspo. And that's 5 hitless innings for Kyle Davies. 2-0 Royals. putting in Scott Posednik. And the Royals adding a run in the 4th on a fielder's choice from David DeJesus. Billy Butler, Jose Guillen, and Alberto Callaspo coming up. Billy singled to right in the 3rd inning. And he was the batter that reached on the Hernandez error in the 1st. One ball, one strike. Got away with a changeup that was up at 89 miles an hour, and the count is 2-1.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't want that one there. And when Billy sees that again, he might not take it.
Pulled to short. Wilson to the outfield grass in time. Jack Wilson had missed a couple of games in Chicago with a sore right thumb, so throwing could be a problem for him, but right on target with a long throw to get Butler. So with one away, let's take a look at tonight's AT&T trivia question. Who holds the Royals record for the most single-season home runs in April? Jermaine Dye, 10.
I might have heard that somewhere.
I don't know that for a fact. I just remember that year. Remember, Jermaine was the first player in Major League history to have 10 doubles and 10 home runs before May the 1st. But that's just my guess. Shallow left, and Wilson goes way out into left field. Remember, Bradley has the bad calf, so he's not 100%. And Jose Guillen is 1 for 3. What do you think, Frank?
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll take a guess.
I'll say Beltran.
Okay. I was wrong. Sort of. But it was that year.
You're in the right ballpark.
In 2000. And the next year would be Jermaine's last year with the Royals, and traded to Oakland by way of Colorado, which brought former Royals great Nafi Perez to Kansas City. Hard to believe that that was 9 years ago, the last time Jermaine Dye played for the Royals. And Jermaine isn't playing with anyone right now.
No, he's out there. You know, a lot of times when guys are out there, a lot of times you at that point in your career where you kind of decide whether you want to be close to home or that type of thing, or you price yourself out a little bit when you should maybe try to go the other way a little bit. So who knows why? It's just hard to figure.
Callaspo walks, and for Hernandez, that's his 3rd. So 2 outs with a runner at first. Jason Kendall has grounded out twice against Felix Hernandez, both to shortstop Jack Wilson. Those two played together in Pittsburgh. So Jason just 1 for 12 on the homestand, still batting over 300 after the great start. And he hits that one hard, but just foul outside of 3rd. Royals with runs in the 1st inning. Guillen driving in a run, and in the 4th, DeJesus driving in a run on a fielder's choice. Curveball bends in for a strike, and it's 0-2. In the dirt, so Johnson's going to have to throw him out. And he does. 5 strikeouts for Felix Hernandez. 2-0 Royals at the end of 5. Full moon. Royals in front of Felix Hernandez 2-0, and Kyle Davies with 5 hitless innings. He has allowed 1 base runner, a walk to Franklin Gutierrez with 2 outs in the 4th. So he gets the 8, 9, and 1 hitters in the 6th, beginning with Rob Johnson out on a fly ball to right in the 3rd inning. Kyle falls behind 2-0. Only a couple of balls hit hard by the Mariners so far. Casey Kochman is lined to center. Milton Bradley grounded sharply to Billy Butler. Everything else has been pretty routine. 3 balls, no strikes.
Kyle stays aggressive here. Ryan needs to just come back with the fastball and make Wilson put the ball in play. This is a perfect pitcher's pitch here, right at the top of the knees.
A leadoff walk, so his 2nd walk, and walking the number 8 hitter who is sitting below 200, and that brings up Jack Wilson. One of the challenges for a pitcher when they're on a roll like Kyle and not allowing any hits and only 2 base runners this deep in the game is he hasn't pitched much from the stretch. Wilson trying to bunt to get the Mariners' first hit.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. The stretch kind of takes him out of rhythm a little bit. Once you're in the windup and you don't have many base runners and you have that rhythm and you hold on to it. But like you say, now you're in the stretch. And you got to worry about base runners, worry about the hit and run, and a lot of things you worry about that you wouldn't normally have to worry about.
Wilson flied to left in the 3rd inning. Mentioned last half inning that he is dealing with a sore right thumb. Took a bad hop off of the thumb. Missed the last 2 games of the Chicago series. Standing next to someone who was a mentor of sorts to him when he was coming up through the Pirates system, and Jason Kendall was the veteran catcher. Not always handled with kid gloves. There was some tough love mixed in there, but Jason Kendall is one of the guys that Jack Wilson points to as far as showing him how to be a big leaguer. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, I don't know if Wilson was really convinced and really understood what he wanted to do on this pitch right here. Normally, my rule of thumb is don't go to 2 strikes with an attempted bunt without actually trying to bunt the ball. Now you just gave a strike away, and you got nothing accomplished.
Busted him inside at 92. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That fastball had a lot of run on it. And this opens up the outside for the cutter if Kyle wants that. And he's also got his curveball available too.
Struck him out, number 5 for Kyle.
This is a cutter here, Ryan. It just starts right at the middle, and just all it takes is just a little movement on the cutter to get it off the sweet spot of the bat.
It might be a little too early to get overly excited about the potential of a no-hitter, but I think the last guy you'd want to face if you're working on a no-hitter is this guy. 0-1.
You drop that curveball on the outside corner like that. It really doesn't matter, right? When you got command of your pitches and you put them right where you want them, you got to feel confident as you go. But this is a touch hitter. I mean, by that I mean he just wants to touch the ball and put it in play and use his legs.
Suzuki so far, a couple of ground outs, one of them on a bunt attempt. Good play by Jason Kendall to throw him out. To the right side, going to have to hurry, and that's the first hit. So you hate to lose it on one like that, but it's a clean hit. And that's the second time since September that Kyle Davies has taken a no-hitter into the 6th. He did it at Cleveland. And Shin-Soo Choo opened the inning with a single, and now with 1 out in the 6th tonight, Ichiro Suzuki has an infield single.
Well, you called it right. Ichiro is the wrong guy, and he, like I say, he just wants to touch the ball and he wants to use his legs, and he did exactly that right now. Now Kyle's been under that kind of pressure of no hits. Now he's got to really settle down, and he's got to get back, refocus, and try to get out of this inning. They just bounced it right past the mound, almost acts as a great drag bunt in a good spot. And Casper got there, but just not in time. Just beat it right in the ground, and he's already going that way, and just gets a good running start right at the end of his swing.
Again, it's still pretty early, but this is the second time a Royal has flirted with a no-hitter against the Mariners. Now, Zach Greinke last year, his one-hitter, there was really no drama at all because Kenji Jojima singled in the 2nd inning, so the hit was taken care of very early. But tonight, a little closer with 1 out in the 6th inning. Royals last year won the season series against Seattle, going 5-4. The 2nd straight year they beat the Mariners in the season series. Prior to that, Seattle had won 8 straight season series. Kyle pitching well and is moving up on his 100th pitch. He is at 94 with 1 out in the 6th inning. Good changeup. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good action, good arm action. It looked every bit like a fastball to Figgins. That he swung at it like it was a fastball. Look at a guy like Kyle's coming out pitching tonight. You say he's at 95 pitches. It seems like he should only have about 80 pitches the way he's been pitching tonight.
Still 2-2 on Figgins. Figgins has struck out twice. Got him swinging at a change in the 1st and looking at a cutter in the 4th. And as we told you when Figgins batted in the 4th, no major league hitter last year saw more pitches than Sean Figgins. Of course, he has more at-bats than the average hitter, being a leadoff hitter for a good offensive team in the Angels, but still a very, very good eye. And he's already walked 15 times this year. 3-2. Two walks, 5 strikeouts for Kyle Davies. Just gave up his first hit of the game. Johnson at second, Reach with a walk, Suzuki at first with an infield single. Into left field, Scott Posednik is there. 2 down. Kyle hasn't really had a very easy inning as far as pitch count. He hasn't had one of those single-digit type innings. Brad Thompson just starting to warm up in the bullpen. He retired the first 11. But as I look back on each inning, the Mariners have fouled away several pitches, and after a while that adds up. Kyle now with 20 pitches in this inning. And ball to Franklin Gutierrez.
A big inning for him to close out, Ryan. I mean, you carrying a no-hitter this deep into the game, and usually around the 5th or 6th inning, everything starts to kind of get on your mind a little bit, and all of a sudden you see that first hit, and all of a sudden a barrage of hits come after that. But if you're him to close this inning out, which says a lot about how he's pitching tonight.
Still has a cutter working. It's 1-1 on Gutierrez.
I mean, look where Kendall is, and watch where the pitch is. I mean, they're just working in unison tonight. Wherever Kendall wants it, Kyle's getting it there. Just follow the leader all night long.
Kyle now at 100 pitches. Gutierrez has struck out and walked, and that one just missed. 2-1.
Well, he's not only throwing well, but he's throwing down, and this changeup is right on the outside corner at the bottom end of the strike zone, just above the knee. And that's about as perfect as a right-handed changeup to a right-handed hitter can be.
Didn't quite hit the target, though. Jason Kendall had to move to get it.
Yeah, I think Jason wanted to come down and in, and if anything, he would swing over it and hit it foul. But it turned out to be a pitcher's pitch, and he wasn't lucky enough to get it that time.
Pulled foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre, Frank White, Joel Goldberg, with producer Kevin Schenk, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton and Sam Abramson, and the producer of Royals Live is TJ McGinnis. 2-2 on Gutierrez. Question will be, when Kyle gets out of this inning, and if he's still right around 100 pitches, he is at 103. How far would he go after that? Trey Holman's kept most of the starters right around 100 pitches, and we know about the problems in the bullpen. So at one point, if at all, does Trey feel like he needs to start stretching out the starters?
Well, I think he's pretty much at that point, Brian. If he's throwing well, then, and if he can get out of this inning without getting over 110 pitches, then you can probably run him back out there. But if he goes over 110, then he's probably not going to go back out.
Two on with 2 out. Davies has given up 1 hit in 6 2/3 innings. Make that 5 2/3 innings. Ichiro Suzuki with a 1-out infield single in this inning. Another foul ball.
Each foul ball lessens his chances of going back out in the next inning. I know a lot of times when you have a bullpen that's struggling and you the starter, you feel like you got pretty good stuff that night. And even though you may take you over your pitch limit, if there is one, by 10 or 20 pitches, sometimes just getting through that 7th inning is huge.
Well, he had Gutierrez leaning out over the plate, so that was the right idea to come inside. It's 3-2. So at 2 outs, both runners will be going. You have a catcher at second base, and you have Ichiro Suzuki at first. And if a ball is hit to the gap, Johnson's going to have to get going to make sure Suzuki doesn't pass him on the way to home. Bases loaded with 2 down. So the 3rd walk for Kyle and his 2nd of the inning. It's John Gibbons calling down to the bullpen to check on Brad Thompson. Bob McClure is going to visit the mound as Thompson continues to warm up.
I think they really want Kyle to get through this inning, Ryan. And when you look at his pitch count, when it was at 103, you probably wish that was at the end of 7 instead of the end of 6. Top of 6.
Got off to a great start tonight, retiring the first 11. A couple of strikeouts in the first inning. Biggins on the changeup. Gutierrez on the changeup. Bradley on a cut fastball. Same pitch to Biggins, hitting him in the 4th. Jack Wilson has also struck out. That was the first out of this inning. Kyle in his first 3 starts has not gone less than 6 innings once, and he has not walked more than 3. So here he is at 5 2/3 with 3 walks. 2 walks and an infield single in this inning, and gets Jose Lopez, who has grounded out twice, both to the left side of the infield. And that is drilled to left. Ball is not carrying tonight, and Posednik to the front of the track to end the inning. So a 30-pitch inning for Kyle Davies, but he gets out of it. The crowd appreciates his effort. He has given up 1 hit in 6 innings, and the Royals lead 2-0. traveling this season, you can listen to the Royals on your computer if you subscribe to MLB.tv. You can watch every game live or on demand. Local in-market blackouts will apply. Visit Royals.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. There's Dick Cagle watching the game on his computer.
It's always nice to see the pitching coach smile in the dugout, so he's got to be really excited about what Kyle's been able to do tonight. And Kyle's happy about it. He's got a big smile on his face. But I tell you, a lot of progress for Kyle. Tons of it.
And even though Seattle only came up with one hit, all the pitches that they fouled away increased his pitch count, and really that effectively drives him out of the game after 6 innings. Bradley retires Alex Gordon. Alex is 0 for 2. Zach Greinke will pitch tomorrow, going for his first win. He's 0-2. Ian Snell 0-2 for the Mariners. Ivy Royals live at 6:30. First pitch at 7:10. And then the series wraps up with an afternoon game on Wednesday.
You know, a lot of those foul balls that piled up on Kyle, a lot of it is a result of the life he had on his pitches tonight. On it, movement on his changeup, his cutter, his fastball. So he got a lot of 2-strike foul balls because of he's hitting a spot, staying out of the middle of the plate.
That's interesting because a lot of times when a pitcher has a high pitch count and even they're throwing well, you can say, well, he was all over the place. He wasn't throwing strikes. Well, that wasn't the case tonight. No, they just couldn't square him up.
They just have to track foul balls, and if you don't have any life on your pitches, they get hit. And you can truly say tonight that Kyle had an out pitch. I mean, his changeup was an out pitch, his cutter was an out pitch. Now, if you go to 2 strikes and don't have an out pitch, and you stay away primarily, you are going to give up a lot of foul balls because you have to make a really good pitch to get the hitter out of there.
So the Royals number 34 has outpitched the Mariners number 34. Royals with 2 runs, 5 hits against Felix Hernandez. Mitch Meyer has 1 of those hits and 1 of those runs scored. Meyer starting for the 2nd straight game with Rick Ankiel out. And pulls it right to Figgins, down to a knee, and throws him out 2 away. Felix Hernandez 1 out away from his 18th consecutive quality start. He has given the Mariners an average of about 7 1/3 innings per start. So that means he's pitching into the 8th inning almost every time he goes to the mound. He went all 9, beating Baltimore on Wednesday and giving up just 1 run. It was unearned. Pretty good curveball to Yuniesky Betancourt. Uni 1 for 2 with a single, and his single was on a hit and run play and got Mitch Meyer over to 3rd, and then Meyer coming home on DeJesus ground out. So Uni helping set up the Royals' 2nd run.
Well, Uni's off to such a great start this year, Ryan, and I know that last year he didn't have a lot of guys in his corner, and this year I'm sure a lot of those people who weren't in his corner last year are in his corner at this point in this season.
This is going to be close, and it's past Kochman, backed up by Suzuki. And Betancourt yelling over at Felix Hernandez. Joel telling us earlier in the game that they're best pals and they're probably going to hook up for dinner after the game tonight. So Betancourt is topped out. Hernandez won that one. Betancourt singled. Uni won that one. And this one's kind of a push. It's a strikeout, but Betancourt ends up on base.
That was a good sinker down and away, and he's hustling right out of the chute. Johnson gets plenty of time right here, but the ball just kept going away from Kochman. He couldn't knock it down, but they backed it up real good, and it kept Betancourt at first base.
It's ruled a strikeout and a wild pitch, although that got a lot of Rob Johnson's glove. I don't know if that is more Hernandez's fault than it was Johnson.
Well, they always say when it goes through your legs, virtually untouched, it's probably a pass ball.
That applies in a lot of different sports. Hold to the right side, off of Figgins' glove, and Betancourt is going to go to third. So that's a big play. Not completing the strikeout with Betancourt because the Royals have 2 on for Pasednik. That's DeJesus' first hit of the game.
If the Mariners had any chance, if they had any chance of keeping Betancourt from 1 and 3rd, it's probably if Figgins doesn't touch this ball, and Etro has a better chance of coming up and holding Betancourt at second. But you can see the range of Figgins at second base and how far he went to even get a glove on this ball.
Based on what's happened so far tonight, I think this is the guy the Royals want at the plate against Hernandez, because Pasednik has singled sharply to center, he has walked, and he has lined to center. Curveball is a little high.
Yeah, nice short stroke on Pasednik. Very little body movement, real still. He just more or less hits with his hands, and he really throws the head of the bat right to where the pitch is.
And as we know, he will lay down a bunt anytime. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Scott trying to bounce back in this series after going just 2 out of 13 against Minnesota. That's what Pasednik has done with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. With runners in scoring position in all situations, 1 out, no outs, or 2 outs, he's hitting .550.
We're so used to him being on base, and you see he's 2 for 13 in the Twin Series, and it's amazing how fast that piles up on him.
3 balls, 1 strike. Pasednik made his major league debut with the Mariners back in 2001. Hit hard to center again, but that's where Gutierrez hangs out. And the inning is over. Royals strand 2 in the 6th. Kyle hoping that the bullpen can hang on as Brad Thompson makes his second appearance. So trying to hold the 2-run lead. He'll get Griffey, Bradley, and Kochman. Ken Griffey Jr. is grounded out to second base, flied out to center, and now 0 for his last 10. At the knees for strike 1. Kyle Davies opened the game, retiring the first 11. It wasn't until 2 outs in the 4th inning that Franklin Gutierrez reached with a walk. Kyle ended up walking 3 and striking out 5. Over Thompson's glove and into center field. It's only the second hit for Seattle in 6+ innings. Well, Major League Baseball and People Magazine are looking for individuals who make a difference in their community. 30 everyday All-Stars will be honored at the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim. To nominate, go to peopleallstars.com. So Griffey snaps the 0 for 10, and now Thompson going up against Milton Bradley, who struck out against Davies and grounded out. A little bit high for ball 1. Just foul. It's the second time he's hit it hard over to the right side. Almost took out first base umpire Tim Cheetah.
He probably saw his life flash right before his eyes on I mean, being a first base coach, you get something like that, but look at, I mean, I think the ball was gone before he moved.
2 balls, 1 strike on Milton Bradley. Kevin Shank in the truck saying, before that swing, that was a full goatee that he had. But
yeah, sometimes you can be a long way from the action, but too close to the action.
3-1 on Bradley.
Right now, Brad's just missing the spots, and Jason Kendall wanted that ball away, and it was down and in to Milton Bradley.
Line to center, it stays up, and Meyer with a sliding catch. So Bradley a tough luck 0 for 3. Griffey back to first.
Yeah, he definitely got all the wood on this ball. That ball just wouldn't go down. It just kept hanging up, and Mitch came in and caught it easily.
So 1 on 1 out. Left-hand batter Casey Kochman coming up. And in our Chevy call to the bullpen, Trey Hillman is going to bring on Dusty Hughes. Royals lead 2-0. Opponent's batting just 172 against Dusty Hughes in his first 10 games, which has covered 8 2/3 innings. Dusty did not face the Mariners last year, so they are not familiar with him. And usually that's advantage pitcher first time around. Strike over the outside to Kochman against Kyle Davies. Kochman lined to center, grounded out to second base.
So that first pitch to Kochman is definitely advantage pitcher right there, Ryan. Down, away, knee high. There's not much Kochman can do with that ball if he swung at it.
Cayaspo comes way in, and the Royals get the out at second base. So Griffey is down, 2 away.
Pretty heads up play by Cayaspo right there. He saw Griffey wasn't running that hard, so he normally when the runner passes you, but before you pick the ball up, you go to first base. But he realized who was running and took the easy out at first base.
And now Dusty will stay in there and face Rob Johnson. That's drilled into the left field corner. Sednick plays it off the wall. Kochman to third, and he is going to be held. Well, just like that, the tying run is at second base with 2 down. That's the first extra base hit tonight for the Mariners, and the first hit of the game for Johnson.
Well, Dusty left this one up out over the plate, slightly middle in, and Johnson took advantage of it, hit it down the line. You can see where Kendall wanted this ball on the outer half, and he got it well, right down the middle. And that's how they get hit. So a hitter's only going to hit pitchers' mistakes.
Kyle Farnsworth warming up behind Dusty Hughes. Another right-hand batter coming up in Jack Wilson. Open base, but that doesn't mean anything because the next hitter is Ichiro Suzuki. Royals would like a decision right here with Jack Wilson, and Dusty hits the outside corner. Wilson 0 for 2 so far tonight. Mariners with 1 hit in the first 6 innings, and now they have 2 in the 7th. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jack Wilson thrilled to see Kyle Davies on the Royals bench. 0 for 2 tonight, and now 1 for 14 against Kyle, although I think all 9 Mariners are happy to see Kyle on the bench as he held them to 1 hit in 6 innings.
Good stuff all night, Brian. He battled him right down to his last pitch, and now he's got to hope his bullpen can hold the lead for him right here in the 7th.
Back to Dusty. He is out of the inning. Stretch time at Kauffman Stadium. Royals lead 2-0. of the 7th as Panera takes us around the American League. Look at that game. 23 runs. They're only in the bottom of the 6th. Boston at Toronto. Boston still 3 games under 500. Detroit and Texas are tied at 6. Tigers in 2nd place in the Central. Angels leading the Indians. They're in the bottom of the 1st inning. Billy Butler, Jose Guillen, and Alberto Callaspo. The Royals are in the middle of their 4th turn against Felix Hernandez. 1 ball, 1 strike. Billy 1 out of 3, single to right against Hernandez in the 3rd. Deep left center field. Gutierrez back, and the Royals have a 3-0 lead. Billy Butler hits his 2nd of the year.
When single ballers elevate the ball, that's when the ball gets hit. And Felix Hernandez left his ball up out over the plate. And Billy really turned on it and drove it into the deepest part of left center field on a cool night where the ball wasn't traveling that way early in the game.
Now Hernandez goes up and in on Jose Guillen.
Well, he's trying to discourage that thought of back-to-back home runs.
Curveball makes it 1-1. Jose driving in his 18th in the 1st inning. So a 2-hit game for Billy Butler. His 2nd home run, his 12th RBI. Guillen fooled there. It's 1-2.
You can see this pitch here. He wants it down, but he left it up in the middle. And Billy knew right away.
Still 1-2 on Guillen. That's only the 2nd home run allowed by Hernandez in 35 1/3 innings. 2 home runs. And Guillen strikes out for the 2nd time against Hernandez, and that's 7 for Felix. 1 away in the 7th inning. Right-hander Sean White is throwing behind Hernandez, who is now over 100 pitches. And now Alberto Callaspo 0 for 2 with a walk, but Frank, you were impressed with his decision as the Mariners were trying to put something together in the top of the 7th.
I know he was able to see that he had a force out. You always want to get the lead runner, but he did a good job in picking on Griffey to get the lead runner at second base, and after Johnson's double, it may have saved the Royals a run right there. Well, this is a play where with 2-run lead, he could have easily gone to first base, but he chose to go to second base, and then just following that, we had the double by Johnson down the left field line.
So you're saying the rule is if you're a second baseman, if you come in and the runner's already by you, normally you would go to first.
Normally you take the out at first base because of the speed of the runner for the most part, but he recognized Griffey wasn't running quite as well, and he had to play at second, so he took the lead runner.
Right to Figgins, 2 down in the 7th inning. So Callaspo is 0 for 3.
They figured the guy ran pretty good. Then by the time you come in and do a 360 turn, you're not going to have a play at second base. So that's why you would, once they go behind you and by you, most times you just take the out at first.
Jason Kendall 0 for 3, struck out his last time. You know, when you're kids and your mom says, you know, if you look so much nicer when you shave or when you get a haircut. But Jason Kendall just doesn't look right. I mean, he's that grinder type. He looks better with that, you know, that 5 o'clock shadow, that goatee, a little bit of dirt on his cheeks. That just doesn't look like Jason Kendall.
Maybe someone came to town and said, hey, you need to shave.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Backhanded by Lopez. The inning is over. Billy Butler opens the inning with a home run, his second of the year. And as we go to the 8th inning at Kauffman Stadium, the Royals with a 3-0 lead against Felix Hernandez and the Mariners. Cushion with his home run in the bottom of the 7th inning. But as far as our Miller Lite taste greatness moment, we have to go back to the 6 outstanding innings turned in by Kyle Davies, giving up only 1 hit.
Well, Ronnie had it working tonight, and right from the very beginning, challenging with all of his pitches, controlling his changeup, his cutter, and fastball, and kept the Mariners off the center of their bats all night, just kept them off balance.
Top of the order, and 4th time through for Seattle. Ichiro Suzuki broke up Kyle Davies' no-hit bid with a 1-out infield single in the 6th inning. He'll be followed by Sean Figgins and Franklin Gutierrez. Brad Thompson opened the 7th, gave up a single to Griffey, and then got Bradley on a line out to center. Then Dusty Hughes came on and got the last 2 outs. Gave up a double to Rob Johnson, but the Mariners stranded 2 in the 7th and now stays on for the 8th. Kyle Farnsworth continues to warm up in the bullpen. So we'll see if Hughes stays in there after this lefty-lefty matchup. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Suzuki, part of tonight's You Call It, presented by Sprint, as we asked you who will finish with the most career hits when their major league career is over. And 61% going with Derek Jeter, only 5% for Manny Ramirez. Thank you for participating tonight. It's 2-2 from Hughes to Suzuki. Full count.
One thing about Suzuki, you won't be able to practice his stance and his swing. I mean, that is very unique just to him by himself.
He has incredible hand-eye coordination. He's able to put the ball wherever he wants to, and as legend has it, his dad would not only throw him batting practice when he was a kid growing up in Japan using baseballs, but he would use marbles. If you can square up a marble and then you go to the field and look at a baseball, you think you're hitting a cantaloupe.
I used to shoot marbles as a kid, but I've never hit them with a baseball bat. we had a gravel driveway, and I used to take whenever the broom got to the point where it wasn't going to be used anymore, we just cut the head of it off. I just stand on the gravel driveway and try to hit the gravel.
Dusty Hughes just saw something white flash before his eyes. He wasn't sure if it was the ball or the end.
Well, when that close to the action, that's going to definitely put a little fright in your eyeballs right there, because this ball goes right by his head, and then in most cases, pitchers react a little bit after the ball's gone, and then they just feel how lucky they really were that didn't hit them.
Another Chevy call to the bullpen. Kyle Farnsworth will face Sean Figgins. Ichiro Suzuki that almost took his cap into center field, and now Kyle Farnsworth with a runner at first, nobody out, with Figgins, Gutierrez, and Lopez coming up. Trey Hillman wouldn't say for sure that Joakim Soria wasn't available tonight, but all things point towards that after Soria pitched 2 innings on Saturday night and then came back and got the save yesterday afternoon. So that's 3 innings in 2 days. Figgins 0 for 3 against Kyle Davies.
If Sawyer's not available, then probably Trey will probably mix and match all the way out. You know, he's got Kyle Farnsworth here. He's got John Parrish and Bruce Chen, and also Miguel Robinson Tejeda in the pen.
Suzuki takes off, no throw. That's his 5th stolen base. One ball, 1 strike to Figgins. Good pitch. 95 miles an hour at the knees over the outside corner.
Well, he's been pitched pretty tough tonight. He's been, you can always tell when a hitter is kind of in between. He checks his swing a lot and doesn't get the pitch he wants. Even when it's down the middle, he just can't pull the trigger on it. And you get your pitch, you foul it off. So he's kind of in between right now.
Batting at just 182. Now, the Angels don't want to see one of their star players go to a team in their division, but if you're Sean Figgins, this makes sense for him because he's going to be facing mostly the same pitchers within the division that he has been the last several years.
True.
Then again, there's always the pressure of a new big contract with a brand new club.
Well, you see that a lot, and you see guys that they kind of get away from what made them who they are because of the contracts they get. They go to a team in the division, a team that you're supposedly going to overtake the Angels, and you got to be a big part of that. So it's a big weight that he's bringing over to Seattle by signing a contract there.
Struck out. 3 strikeouts for Sean Figgins. So a good start for Kyle Farnsworth. That's the first out of the inning.
This is really nowhere close to where he wants to hit the ball. I mean, he's a guy that really likes the ball down a little bit, and you know, this is a big swing for him. He usually takes a little bit shorter swing. He slaps the ball a little bit, but his swing's a little long, and he's like in between. Is that old place where you go where you're too slow for the fastball and too quick for the breaking ball? I mean, that's when you just want to stay on the bench.
Is that the hitting equivalent of the in-between hop on defense?
There it is, right there.
Suzuki to third. The Royals aren't too concerned with him. A run is a run. It's only a 3-run game, but right now the focus is on the hitter as the tying run remains in the on-deck circle. And Bruce Chen is starting to play catch in the bullpen, maybe getting ready for a couple of hitters down the road. Ken Griffey Jr., left-hand batter. Milton Bradley after that a switch hitter, and then Casey Kochman is a left-hand batter. 2 balls, no strikes. Gutierrez was the first man to reach against Davies. The 2 outs in the 4th inning walked, and then he walked again in the 6th. Two and one.
The old saying is you get 3-run lead, 7th inning, or closer to 9, then you basically kind of throw the double play out of the window. What you try to do now is just start counting outs. And that's why Suzuki's been able to move himself around the bases.
Very high to center field, not very deep. Meyer the catch. Suzuki held up. And that was a good decision. Meyer makes a very good throw. Mike Brumley put up the stop sign for Suzuki, who, not sure if he wanted to tag or not, but at least for 3 or 4 steps, it looked like he was coming to the plate.
Well, I think the reason they bluff hard like that is you want to try to force the outfielder to make a strong throw, and if it gets by, you can continue on the home plate, but you just don't want him to take the ball and just rest with it, because then he can take off again. So as an outfielder, when you see that break, you want to come up and let the ball go. You don't want to come up and then try to anticipate him not going. Then he'll see your hesitation, and then he will continue to go.
So Suzuki at third with 2 down. Jose Lopez hitless in 3 trips. Flied out to deep left his last time up. 99 miles an hour with some tail. I think Lopez thought that was a little bit low. .99 again. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Kyle Farnsworth, Royals' career began thinking that he'd be pitching late in the game like he is now, and now it's kind of gone full circle with the Royals still searching for an answer late in the games. And Farnsworth gets a pop-up. Betancourt the catch. So the leadoff single from Suzuki does not turn into a run. Still 3-0 Royals.
Much more coming up. But for now, let's go back to Ryan and Frank.
All right, thank you, Joel. And the Royals with a 3-0 lead. They've knocked Felix Hernandez out. So the best that Hernandez can hope for now is a no decision. Sean White has pitched in 8 games, covering 7 innings, but a lot of base runners, as he has given up 8 hits and 3 walks, so 11 base runners in 7 innings. He'll get Alex Gordon, Mitch Meyer, and Yuniesky Betancourt. So the Royals with 3 runs against Hernandez. One of the runs was unearned because of his error back in the first. Jose Guillen, David DeJesus, and Billy Butler have driven in the runs. Butler's coming on a home run in the 7th. Milton Bradley going all the way back to the track and at the wall makes a nice play.
Well, Alex really squares this ball up right. He hits it high. That's one of the deepest parts of the park, and Bradley kind of drifted with it, and the ball just kept going. Another couple steps, he'd hit the wall before the ball got there. If you you can outrun it and get ahead of it and then try to catch it that way, but I didn't think he anticipated it going as far as it did.
He played that like a boxer working the ropes. Kind of bounced right off the wall.
It's that screen out there. I'm not quite sure what it's made of, but you can bounce off that stuff pretty easy.
Meyer down around the end of the bat, may have broken his bat. And out of play. Whoa, look out. See that in the first row? Got a fan there with a bucket hat on. And kind of a fluorescent. There he is. Now, we always encourage you to bring your glove, and he did, but you need to bring your feet with you also. Good effort. You got an A for effort.
I think you realize how tough pop-ups are to catch now.
That's what the Royals have done at the plate tonight. 3 runs, 7 hits. Mitch Meyer, one of the hits against Felix Hernandez, scored one of the runs. Right center, and Gutierrez is there for out number 2. Oh. Now, you're not supposed to throw things onto the field. Does that fall into the category of throwing things onto the field?
Looks like she was trying to be a little cute there, trying to snatch it from her.
Yeah,
snatch it right over the rail.
I mean, that was an object that began in the stands and ended up on the field. There's an usher right there, writing up the citation.
What happened to the ball?
I guess the Royals ball boy went and got it. Up the left field line, fair ball. That's Betancourt's 2nd hit of the game, and the Royals' 8th. Runner at second with 2 outs, and you know that tastes good against your former team.
Well, it would me. I mean, I think everybody, even the Seattle people, are just excited that he's off to such a good start because they all generally like Yuniesky. And this is a breaking ball here that stayed out in the middle of the plate and he hit it down the line. But you talk to some of his ex-teammates, ex-coaches, all of them are excited that he's off to such a good start because he's a nice guy. Everybody likes him a lot. And sometimes a change of scenery helps guys. In this case, so far this season, even though we have a long way to go to this point, he's just proven everybody that he is still a good player.
All that hard work during the offseason certainly paying off. 0-1 on David DeJesus. 1 for 4. He has driven in one of the runs. His 10th RBI of the year. Kochman very good defensive first baseman, gives it off to White, and the Royals are finished in the 8th. A 3-run lead to the 9th. Run in the bottom of the 7th on our Chevrolet play of the game.
Brian, this is Billy Butler getting a fastball down the middle of the plate and jumped all over it and drove it into the water in left center field.
So Kyle Farnsworth with a chance for a save. Ken Griffey Jr., Milton Bradley, and Casey Kochman coming up. Griffey 1 out of 3, singled against Brad Thompson in the 7th inning, and now pops it up to the left side. Betancourt calls off Gordon, 1 away. Farnsworth going for his first save in almost 2 years, June of 2008. And now Milton Bradley 0 for 3. He's hit the ball hard twice. Lined out to center last time up. This has not been a good matchup for Bradley. He is 1 for 7 against Kyle Farnsworth with 5 strikeouts. Broke his bat, and that's how he gets his first hit. And now he's going to try for 2 on DeJesus. And he's in there. That's quite a gamble in a 3-run game. Bradley at second base with 1 out.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. That's quite a gamble, but that just takes reading the outfielders and knowing the direction that Davis is going. He's got to turn all the way around and make the play, but it's all about leaving home plate with that in mind. He gets a tough pitch down into the bat and was able to get it out there. He realized he didn't hit it well, but he's running hard all the way, and he knows Davis got to make that turn, and he was able to get into second base.
So that's his way of telling the manager that his left calf is all right.
I would think so, yes.
After missing the last 6 games. Now Kochman into left field. 2 down. Kochman 0 for 4. So Farnsworth 1 out away from a save. Now, these numbers can be deceiving. That doesn't look very good. 27 saves and 60 career opportunities. But you have to remember, he has not spent much time as a closer. And when you're a setup man, all you can do is get a blown save. You can't get a save because you're handing the ball off to the closer. So a lot of times 7th and 8th inning guys will have a lot of blown saves because that's the only thing you can get.
That's true. very well he can't get a hold. So, but tonight though, Ryan, he's doing a great job of staying down, and his velocity's up to 98 miles an hour at this point, and he's keeping the ball down and keeping it out in the center of the plate.
One ball, one strike on Rob Johnson. They need one more base runner for a chance, and former Royal Mike Sweeney in the on-deck circle. So if he comes up, he would represent the tying run. And remember last year when the Royals got off to that great start, they were 18-11, and they swept a 2-game series against Seattle here at Kauffman Stadium to go to 18-11. Mike Sweeney handing Joakim Soria with a blown save, a pinch hit RBI single in the 9th inning. But the Royals went on to win that game. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Mike, really, the time that I spent with him here in KC, and he was always known as one of the best 2-strike hitters for a right-handed hitter in the game. I mean, he could take that ball and drive it in the right center with the best of them.
3 balls, 1 strike. That is some outfit. Ball 4. Even Johnson didn't think that was a ball.
I mean, the height and where that pitch is, Ryan, this can't miss. This has got to be a strike right here. That last out's always the toughest one to get. So this is when you got to really bear down and go right after him.
So Mike Sweeney, a long shot to make the Mariners out of spring training, but just played his way onto the roster. This is what he's done as a pinch hitter. He has started the year 2 out of 18. Starts to rain very lightly again at Kauffman Stadium. This will be Michael's 3rd year playing against the Royals. The A's 2 years ago, Seattle last year. The home run came last year, and it was his 100th career home run here at Kauffman Stadium.
That's an excellent pitch by Kyle Davies right there, Ryan. What he wants to do, I'm sorry, Kyle Farnsworth, what he wants to do is keep this ball away. He's trying to make sure he doesn't throw anything to Mike's power that he can tie this game up with. If he beats him, he wants him to beat him the other way.
Sweeney hasn't seen a whole lot of Farnsworth, only 4 plate appearances. And he's 0 for 3, a walk, and Farnsworth has struck him out twice. With 1 out, Bradley doubled. With 2 outs, Johnson walked. Drilled to left field. So Bradley will come around to score. And Sweeney comes through as a pinch hitter. It's a 2-run game, and now Sweeney at first is the tying run. And he's going to come out for a pinch runner. Matt Tuiasosopo, who grew up in Seattle, will run at first. And with Ichiro Suzuki coming up, Trey Hillman is going to bring on lefty John Parrish. So Farnsworth will not get the save. with runners at first and second and 2 down. So Bruce, with just his second appearance since being called up, and facing Suzuki, who is 2 for 2, couple of stolen bases. With 1 out, Bradley doubled, and with 2 down, Johnson walked, and then Sweeney single. Got Bradley to the plate. Tuiasa Sopo is running for Sweeney at first base. Ichiro Suzuki has been all over Bruce Chen. 9 out of 17. No balls, 1 strike.
Bruce should be concentrating right now here, Ryan, just trying to get him out front with some, try to get the ball down, try to keep it on the ground.
No balls, 2 strikes. Royals trying to win back-to-back games for the first time this year. Seattle trying to reverse their bad fortunes on the road. Seattle just 2-8 away from Safeco Field. Outfield very deep. Trying to guard against the extra base hit, keep the ball in front of him, and keep Tuiasa Sopo away from home plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, Bruce has got the right idea here. He wants something going away from him, and he wants to keep it down. He wants to get it on the ground, and hopefully have him hit it one of the infielders.
Now Suzuki, we pointed out earlier, doesn't walk very often, but he also doesn't strike out very often with that hand-eye coordination. He has 80 at-bats this year. He has struck out 6 times. So he's always an excellent bet to put bat on ball. Popped up. Tough play. Cayaspo out into shallow center and makes the catch. So the Royals hang on. Seattle gets one in the 9th inning. And the Royals win back-to-back games for the first time this year. So many highlights in this one. You can begin with Kyle Davies and his effort, giving up 1 hit, no runs in 6 innings. Yuniesky Betancourt against his former team, coming up with a couple of hits. And the Royals against one of the best pitchers in the American League, Felix Hernandez, get 3 runs against him. So Hernandez takes his first loss. He is 2-1. Kyle Davies